people, I'm welcoming you to yet another episode with myself, Unasisa. And for those of you who are new here, I'm taking this opportunity to welcome you home. So without any further ado, let me just get started. Today I am not showing you any activities that I've done in the Philippines, but I decided to do a review on Moalboal city as a whole before I show you what I did in El Nido. On this video, I'll be talking about things that you are likely to find in Moalboal. I'll be touching on the do's and don'ts and mostly things that you should be careful of in the Philippines as a whole and specifically in Moalboal. The review is going to be very narrow, that I'm going to be specifically reviewing Moalboal, the first place that I went to when I was traveling to the Philippines in January 2020. So this review, in terms of prices and everything that I'm going to be talking about, it will be based on January 2020. So the prices, in terms of accommodation, prices differs according to the place that you are in. If you are more closer to the islands, they are a bit expensive, of course, because that's where everyone wants to be. But if you're a bit far from the islands, they will be a bit cheaper. But don't be mistaken by what I'm saying. Also in the islands, there are cheaper places like the ones we stayed in. The place was very affordable. We stayed for 4 nights there and it didn't cost us much, more especially because we had booked like 2 months before we took our vacation. When it's your first time traveling, I highly advise that you pre-book and prepay for things. You can pre-book and maybe pay when you get to the place, but I also advise paying in advance so that you save yourself from disappointments or anything that might go wrong. Well, in terms of flights as well, like book your flights very early before the prices go up. So if you have decided that you want to take a vacation, I would advise that like pay for your flights and accommodation 3 months in advance, or at least 2 months in advance like I did, and it saved me a lot. As much as I spent a lot after I've paid for everything, but had I not paid for my flight and accommodation in advance, I was going to spend even more than what I spent. Also on that one, I would say it's a two-way street. It mustn't always be that you book and pay for everything in advance. I'll explain why I'm saying that. Because you might like the place, but you only book for 2 nights or just less than 5 days. And you might book for longer and now you don't want to be here, but you have to wait until you finish your period before you can move to the other place, because probably the next place that you'll be moving to or traveling to, you've also pre-booked and prepaid for everything. So my advice personally, I would say rather just book 2 days in a place. It's preferable if you book less days and then you extend the days according to how long you'd want to stay, rather than booking the whole week and you don't like the place. Tourist attractions that you are likely to find when you are visiting Moalboal: Osmenia Peak. It's supposed to be a place for hiking, but it's not really hiking. That place is very good for pictures because it's only like a 30-minute walk. So don't expect too much when you're going to Osmenia Peak in terms of hiking, but for pictures, it's the place to be. Like the scenery, the landscape, it's very beautiful. In January 2020, entrance fee per person was about 70 pesos. And you also had to pay for a tour guide, a person that will be helping you how to go about the place and also helping you with taking pictures, the most important thing. Yeah, they are very good with taking good pictures. So if you are traveling in a group, you just pay a price for a group, and if you're traveling alone, you pay the same price as the group. So maybe if you're traveling alone, you'd want to tag along with other people that are traveling as a group so that you save yourself from paying too much. It's very far from Moalboal, but it's in between Cebu City and Moalboal. So either you are in Cebu City or in Moalboal, it will still be far, but it will also depend where about you will be staying. Then after Osmenia Peak, we went snorkeling with the sardines and the turtles. The price for that was 1,200 per person. And you also have to pay an additional price for your tour guide as well. If you want your tour guide to be taking pictures of you using his GoPro camera, it will cost you around 100 pesos. But you also pay a price for a group if you're traveling in a group. And if you're traveling alone, you're likely to pay the same price as if you were traveling in a group. So you'd also want to tag along. I always advise that when you are traveling alone, just wait for other people or try to get some people that are doing the same activity in advance so that you go as a group. Canyoning. Another thing is canyoning. When you are in Moalboal, make sure that you go for canyoning. In canyoning in January 2020, it was 1,500 pesos per person. And if you want to add a zip line, you pay 500 when you are paying at the place where you'll be canyoning. But if you pay either in the office where they specialize in canyoning, or you pay in your homestay or your hotel or your resort, you would likely pay 300 instead of 500. So altogether, it could cost you either 1,800 pesos for zip line and the tour and the canyoning, or it will cost you 2,000 depending where you paid and how much they charge you, because the zip line, it's either 300 or 500. And also, if you want to know more about canyoning, there is also a video where I was specifically talking about canyoning in Moalboal. There's a private beach called Savendra Beach in Moalboal, and there you have to pay an entrance fee. You have to pay an entrance fee because it's a private beach. You pay in two different gates. It was 10 and 5, so it was 15 pesos in total. You also have to pay for public toilets. Yes. And another funny thing about the Philippines, they charge a different price for peeing and doing number 2. So if you're peeing, it was 5 pesos, but if you are taking longer than peeing, it's 10 pesos, because they say you're using lots of water to flush. Yeah. If you want to see more about the tourist attractions that I'm talking about on this video, which is Osmenia Peak, snorkeling with the sardines and the turtles, and canyoning and islands and the private beach that you will find in Moalboal, there are videos that I've done before this one, so you can check them out right after watching this one. I'll leave a link for the video that I was talking about canyoning in Moalboal, and make sure guys you give them a thumbs up if you find them interesting. Another thing that I would want to touch on is food that you find in the Philippines and in the Moalboal area. So they are big on street food and meat, like barbecues. Yeah, they're very big on barbecues. There is a big fruit market. There's just one that we found there. That is the market you would find if you want fresh food. There is also a store that is called 7-Eleven, which is more of like a liquor store, but it doesn't only sell liquor. It sells beverages. So in terms of drinks, if you want to buy something not inside a bar or a club, you likely to find 7-Eleven. There are other like convenience stores, but like a big store that supplies beverages, it's 7-Eleven, and it is accessible when you are in Moalboal. Now let's get to nightlife. In Moalboal, if you could just see on my previous videos that I've done before this one, the most vibey place to be for nightlife when you're in Moalboal is Chili Bar. It's not the only place. There are other places, but that is the well-known spots. Even when you're asking the locals, they will always tell you about Chili Bar. When you're asking other travelers, they will tell you about Chili Bar. It's one spot that I would really recommend to look for if you are traveling around Moalboal, or if you are in Moalboal. Also, when you're in Chili Bar, there is a range of bars and restaurants. So if you are tired or if you don't want to be there, you also want to check other places. There's quite a few of restaurants and bars and clubs that you would find in the same block as Chili Bar. Chili Bar won't do you wrong, like it won't disappoint you. But it, like in a place, it also depends based on a season. When are you traveling or when are you visiting that place? You might find that you visiting Moalboal in a season that is less touristic. So I wouldn't know in terms of the vibe and how you'd find the place. But when you're traveling around January, February, that time it's like it's a traveling season, so you're likely to find most young people, and you definitely enjoy the place as I did. Now let's talk about Filipinos, like people that you would find in Moalboal or in Philippines, how they are and how they treat travelers. Okay, this one I'll be as honest as possible. Like in every place that you traveling in, like even in your home country or in your hometown, people are not the same. So same thing with the Filipinos, they are not the same. But in general, they're very friendly, they're welcoming towards foreigners. And one thing I like about the Philippines is that they speak English, like good English. It's not about the level of English, but the fact that you can communicate with them in English makes your life easier. You don't have to stress about using Google Translator or any translating app if you need something. Like everyone there speaks English. Philippines as a country, it's foreign friendly. I found it foreign friendly, so it's not a place you would like have to be scared to travel to because you do not know how you'll be treated. But one thing that I didn't like about Filipinos, or like the people in Philippines, those people, they charge you head and toe. That one I need to say, they will charge you head and toe. And especially if you do not know about the prices, even if you show that you know about the prices, you always have to fight for the right price in the Philippines. In most countries, there are tourist prices and there are prices for local people. But in the Philippines, like, there's a huge difference between the price that is paid by tourists and the price that is paid by local people. For example, for their public transport, like the local transport, let me tell you one thing. When I visited the Philippines, it was January 2020. So the price for a tricycle for local people was 10 pesos. Guess how much tourists have to pay? It's not even double of how much local people are paying. We are charged like from 10 pesos to 100 pesos to 150, a distance that is less than 1 kilometer. Like, you tell the driver that I know the price, I know it's cost this amount of money, but they will fight with you. And one thing, they are nice people, they are generous, like they are welcoming. But when it comes to money, they just get angry. When, like Filipinos, when it comes to you paying, they just get angry and they fight with you. They fight with you that you should pay because you are traveling. You should pay because you are a tourist. I don't think it's being fair, even though we are, like, you are traveling and you are there to spend. But that is not the sole reason of you traveling, to spend money. Most people, they travel because they want to have a break from life and from everything that is happening in life and just have a peace of mind, not to be charged over and over and over. Yes, you are going to pay more if you're traveling, but sometimes it's very unfair. And that is one thing I really didn't like about the country as a whole, especially Moalboal. Moalboal, I think they are worse. Or maybe they are the same, just that when I travel to other places, I was aware of how they are towards tourists when it comes to public transport and paying for things that are really unnecessary. Advise that if you don't have a scooter, if you don't have a motorbike, and you are going to be using public transport like we did when we visited the country, stick to the jeepney. It's in other places, it's not accessible. It's not as accessible as in other places. It's very scarce. It's not like a tricycle, but jeepneys, you would pay a fair price. It's the cheapest transport. There's no price that is paid by local people, and there's no price that is paid by tourists. You pay the same price as the local people, and that is one thing I want everyone to be careful of when they're visiting the Philippines. So guys, that was it about my review on Moalboal as a whole, and I hope that this video was informative for your next traveling plan. And if you find this video helpful and interesting, please give it a thumbs up, and also guys, don't forget to leave your comment and share, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next video where I'll be taking you to El Nido. You'd want to see that one. Goodbye guys, see you on the next video.